We got guys. Welcome to the stream. Apologies, I was still eating. I made a pizza, my own pizza. Instead of buying one, which costs a lot of money, so I thought I'd do one myself. And I love pizzas, and it's probably a bit more healthier as well doing it myself. Really nice pizza. So I had to finish that before I came on. So that's why I'm a little bit more delayed. But this won't be on too long tonight, mainly probably about an hour. So I'll probably try and watch the rest of that football second half later on. But anyway, guys, obviously I want to get into all this because it's lots to talk about, especially the fact that Brian Carse has been caught in a nightclub and doing something wrong and handcuffed. Briefly, I don't think he was fully charged, but obviously he'd been detained a little bit. And obviously there's an issue there. So we'll get into that. I've got obviously my guests to be on soon, and I'll bring Manny on very soon. But I'm just going to quickly go into this, and obviously the second test will be starting soon. Obviously Thursday. England won the first test really easily. Big win. Crushed Pakistan by an innings and 103 runs. It was over in the space of 3 days, basically. And that's how easy it was for England, pretty much. And how poor Pakistan were. Right, so I'm going to get to this, talking about Brian Carse first. Because this just doesn't seem to stop for England. There's always something now. It's a drinking culture as well that is creeping back into the English game. Always getting caught in nightclubs and some issue there, some incident. And I'm just getting fed up with it pretty much. Because why are we not learning from this? Why are England doing the same shit over and over again? It just doesn't make sense. Something has to be done. I still think they either have to be fined a mega load of money, banned for a while, whatever, can't pay for it. I actually say if you're going to get drunk, drinking before an England game, you will stop being played for England. Banned from England. That's what I would say. So there is something there, something to block this reason for your drinking, that you will never get into the England squad or team if you're caught doing it. And I just think that something needs to be done with that. I hate the fact we're always getting caught with drinking. It's giving us a really bad name. It was for quite a while with the football as well, as we all know. We were hooligans, drinking loads of drink, causing loads of trouble. And now it seems to be happening mainly in the cricket. And there's something wrong there, and it needs to be sorted. But I'll quickly read through this, and then I'll bring obviously Manny on. What will it take to stop the England hangovers? This is Stephen Schimmel, cricket correspondent for the BBC. Yet again, the England men's cricket team is picking through the wreckage of a late-night misdemeanor. The latest stain on the game's reputation is a result of pictures of fast bowler Brian Carse in handcuffs and surrounded by police officers outside a night spot in Derby. His Durham teammate Matthew Potts is in the images, while former England captain Ben Stokes appears in the background once again. Once again, he's involved. Luckily, he's not playing for England anymore. He's retired, and then he can't come up with any reasons why he's done it. If you're keeping score, we're now up to 8 England players involved in incidents of this kind since Halloween last year. Harry Brook was punched by a nightclub bouncer in Wellington, and Jacob Bethel and Josh Tongue, with Jacob Bethel and Josh Tongue present. Ben Duckett was filmed drunk in Noosa. Then Stokes and Gus Atkinson were there when a member of England's security staff was struck in a London nightclub in June, breaching a curfew in the process. To put it another way, there are 30 men currently on England's central contracts. More than a quarter of them have been caught up in bother in the past 10 months. Of the 4 separate incidents, 2 have involved punches being thrown and another was a police matter. In Carse's case, the time spent in handcuffs came days after new England Test captain Joe Root called on his players to be really good role models, good human beings. Root was speaking the day before England's first test against Pakistan, for which Carse was part of the squad. The match was scheduled to still be ongoing when he found himself in the hands of the police. It is understood that Carse was not arrested. Both the England and Wales Cricket Board, ECB, and the cricket regulator will work to establish what happened. There are early suggestions he was denied entry back into the nightclub, or he had a drink poured over him. Carse was also not specifically on England duty at the time. He was released from the first Test squad to play for Durham away at Derbyshire, and was scheduled to report to Lords for the second Test on Monday. As of Sunday evening, he remains part of the squad for the second Test. England will take time to gather some information before a decision on his involvement is made. Root warned his squad to be adults when he abolished the midnight curfew in his first act as captain. That came into place after previous incidents. As part of the move, guidelines advising players about not drinking alcohol on the night before, during or after a game or in public have also been removed. There is a duty of care towards Carse. 2 years ago, the 31-year-old was banned for historical betting offences, so he's got previous, as we know, and rebuilt his career to become an England regular in all 3 formats. No bowler has more Test wickets for England than Carse's 58 since he made his debut in October 2024. But there is also a deep sense of anger and frustration within the ECB at having to deal with another error of judgment by a high-profile player. Supporters will take their own view, among them a sense that the behaviour of these players is now beyond parody. Does someone have to be left out of a squad or given a meaty suspension for the penny to drop? This might be the opportunity for Root to stamp his authority on a new era. Naturally, there will once again be the debate about not denying players their freedom or stopping them from enjoying a victory. For Carse, a Saturday night out came less than 48 hours before he's scheduled to report for England. He is only a tweaked hamstring away from playing in a Test at Lords on Thursday. Perhaps more damaging is the kind of trouble this group of England players seem to find. 2 punch-ups and a set of handcuffs. It also does not appear to have dawned on them that they are high-profile individuals, likely to attract attention, with footage finding its way to social media, as happened with Carse. And what about Stokes, also despite being retired, remains an employee of the ECB via his central contract? As the former captain, should Stokes have been conscious about Carse being in that situation? What about the trouble in which Atkinson found himself alongside Stokes in June? 3 weeks ago, Stokes denied the England team has a drinking culture. but rather that the game itself has a problem. What has Stokes done to distance himself or those around him from that drinking culture? Now there is a wait. Now there is a wait to see what happens next. The ECB only became aware of the incident on Sunday afternoon. The governing body will take a breath overnight and decided Carse needs to be removed from the test squad. Perhaps on Tuesday, Director of Cricket Rob Key will once again explain why the players he manages cannot keep themselves out of trouble. In the aftermath of the Stokes-Atkinson incident in June, Key denied that England had become a national embarrassment. He may be asked again. Key also might be asked about the whereabouts of new Test coach Stephen Fleming, who does not take up his post until the winter. Might Carse have been less inclined to step out of line had the new sheriff been in town? Well, here is another situation for England to manage. Only strong action will ensure there are no more. Trying to get to the one. I'm sure it's saying he has been dropped from the England squad. Hold on a minute, guys. Right. Yes, here it is. Right. Brydon Carse dropped by England as investigation begins into handcuffs incident. So, yes, he has obviously been dropped. And so he deserved to be, really. Even though he may not have caused major trouble, he's still in trouble. He's an England player. He's an England cricketer. He needs to learn. You cannot be seen out doing this sort of thing. After everything that's happened, over the last few years, days, whatever, months. Bowler spoken to by police outside bar in Derby. Carse replaced in squad for second test by Sonny Baker. And I'm sure he'll love that. Another chance to play for England, Sonny Baker. So maybe it's helped him in a way. But this is not good enough. It is really not good enough. And we're, talking about this has marred what has been a fantastic first test and a test series ongoing. We get this shit yet once again. And it'll be up to you, Steph. I hope you're well. Thanks for coming in. Hope you can leave a few comments. We can have a little chat in the live chat. It would be great. But I'm going to bring my guest on. Manny, how you doing, brother? What do you make of this once again?
Signor Jenkins, buonasera. Lovely to meet you. I hope you enjoyed your pizza tonight.
Yeah, I did, my friend. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so
Loved it.
First of all, so sorry for the accent there. It is considered offensive at times. But, all I can say is that a lot of the things that we're going to talk about right now regarding Brydon Carse were covered in that article by Mr. Shemmild. Most notably where he said that this is an opportunity for Joe Root to stamp his authority. And I think I'll let you read the Guardian article, because I think the impression that we might be getting from the article once you read it is that Root is now starting to stamp his authority, and that can only be a good thing, and I'll explain why. But let's see what the article says.
Right. I did think I'd got somebody else on for a minute when you done that accent, Manny. I thought I've got somebody different come on by mistake, but no. Anyway, Bryden Carse has been stood down from England squad for the second test against Pakistan this week, while the footage of him in police handcuffs outside a bar in Derby city centre is investigated by the sports disciplinary body. Carse was filmed by a member of the public while he was detained briefly on suspicion of being drunk and disorderly outside Molly Malone's Irish Tavern in the early hours of Sunday morning. The 31-year-old fast bowler had been celebrating victory against Derbyshire in the county championship with his Durham teammates. The former England captain Ben Stokes and the fast bowler Matthew Potts were also present at the scene, with Carse said to have been in handcuffs for a few minutes before he agreed to move on and was let go without charge. Though not officially on England duty at the time, he was in the squad for the first test in Leeds last week, but was then sent to play for Durham. Carse is centrally contracted. The matter is now being looked into by the cricket regulator, the sports disciplinary body, regarding a possible disrepute charge. In the meantime, and in the light of a string of drink-related incidents that have plagued the England men's team over the past 9 months, Carse has been dropped from the test squad. While he was not expected to play unless there was an injury, Carse has been replaced by Hampshire's Sonny Baker. A statement from the England and Wales Cricket Board on Monday read, following a referral from the ECB, the cricket regulator have confirmed that they will investigate events on Saturday night in Derby. Bryden Carse will no longer be available for selection for the second test while this investigation is ongoing and the full facts are obtained. Bryden will be replaced in the squad for this match by Sonny Baker. According to sources, the footage of Carse came after he had been denied re-entry to the bar shortly before closing time. He had left the building following an exchange of words with another member of the public who spilled a drink on him. Durham, though not his direct employers, are not said to be pursuing the matter, nor are Potts or Stokes considered to have done anything wrong. Carse had been due to travel to London on Monday, with England's 16-man squad reconvening after the 3-day innings victory secured at Headingley last Friday. They go into 2 training days at Lord's before the match starts on Thursday. The issue presents Joe Root with an early off-field headache at the start of his second spell as Test captain, having made one of his first acts the removal of the team's midnight curfew. Root has now brought forward by a day his pre-match press conference to meet the issue head-on. Questions about the team's relationship with alcohol are inevitable. Likewise, those about his authority. The Carse situation came in the same week that Root backs his players to be grown up and good role models and good human beings. The decision to drop Carse while an investigation takes place follows a precedent set this summer. Stokes and Gus Atkinson both missed the second test against New Zealand at the Oval in June, when the cricket regulator looked into a late-night incident in a bar in Chelsea after victory in the series opener at Lord's. The midnight curfew was in place on that occasion, even if it was later argued the precise details of it had not been well communicated. Atkinson had been involved in a physical alteration with a Saracens rugby player. He was not the aggressor, as per the ECB, while Stokes was simply present at the same venue. The ECB chose a different path on the eve of the Australia tour last winter. However, when Harry Brook was punched by a nightclub bouncer the night before the Yorkshireman captained the one-day international in Wellington, New Zealand, Brook was given a clandestine fine at the time, something which came to light only at the end of the Ashes. In between Brooks' altercation and the story being broken by the Daily Telegraph came the team's notorious mid-Ashes breaking newser, when opener Ben Duckett was filmed inebriated outside a backpackers bar, and the footage emerged on social media before the Boxing Day test. Duckett was cleared to play. Carse was backed heavily by Stokes during that 4-1 defeat, playing all 5 tests and finishing as England's leading wicket taker, albeit conceding runs with it. A hand injury delayed his start to the English summer and scuppered an intended spell at the Indian Premier League. But he had returned to fitness during the 100. While England were intending to stick with Atkinson, Jofra Archer, Ollie Robinson and Josh Tongue this week as they target a first Test series win in 18 months, Carse was deemed first reserve. The retirement of Stokes in June and the now 4-pronged pace strategy should, in theory, mean opportunities down the line, unless this latest late-night incident has affected his place in the pecking order. So didn't really see anything there about what's going to happen, what Root's going to do. Trying to see. Yeah, I don't think. I don't think there was anything there about what Root's going to do. Is there, Manny?
Yeah, well, here's the thing. I mean, obviously we can't know for certain what he's going to do just yet, because obviously you can just imagine how angry he would have been by all of this. Taking away the curfew and basically saying that he wanted to encourage his players to be adults and, exercise better judgment. It's often said that, as big as you want to be on discipline, sometimes you've got to treat your players like men. But if the players act like children, then that was pretty much why they had the curfew in the first place. And all I'm going to say right now, this might be a very unpopular take, but Ben Stokes is quite simply, quickly becoming a pariah in some sorts with regard to English cricket. Whether it was his own indiscretion after setting the curfew as captain, whether it was his the way he announced his retirement from England cricket, and for him to say that the game itself had a drinking problem, for me, it was just ignorant, because you take a look at the Pakistan and Bangladesh teams, which are effectively Muslim-dominated teams. They've had their share of Hindus and Christians playing for them, but the dominant region is predominantly Muslim. And as we all know, consumption of alcohol is forbidden in that faith. So for Stokes to say that the game itself had a problem, especially when you consider that the Indian and Sri Lankan cricketers, among others, are not very big drinkers of alcohol themselves, I thought that was just ignorant. And don't get me wrong, socializing and drinking has been going on, for quite some time. And there's always a time to do everything. You go for an Ashes tour, for example, as soon as you touch down in Sydney or Brisbane or wherever you will be disembarking, you recover from the jet lag, and then, if you want to sort of have a trip to socialize with a few of your mates, by all means, you can do so. But 2 or 3 days before the test matches, when you pretty much when you put a lock on it, you don't consume anything. And what angers me a great deal is the lack of self-control that was shown by the England cricketers during the Ashes. And even now, you see what's happening with all of the things that have been coming out about the, as was said in the article, most of these cricketers should know that they are high-profile figures who can have their actions documented and posted to social media for posterity. And yet they just don't seem to know. They just don't seem to care. They just seem to think that they can do whatever they want. But going back to Ben Stokes, you see a commonality here. It's bad enough that he was involved in that incident with Gus Atkinson and the ECB security guard after having set the curfew himself. But for him to sort of be a part of that group after Durham's win over Derbyshire in the county championship, I mean, what sort of an example is he setting? You would think that he would, know a little bit better. And one of the articles actually mentioned it. He may be retired, but he is still centrally contracted. So if he's retired, surely the contract would be broken. You cannot simply have a situation where, a player is retired and still contracted technically to the ECB. And if he is contracted, he should be bound by that contract to behave in a proper manner. So it just goes to show, how are the ECB enforcing their own supposed disciplinary measures? And what sort of an example is Ben Stokes setting as someone who earns a lot of, credit in the bank and fame in the game for his performances and his leadership, but is now starting to become an absolute pariah? I have to say this. I'm sorry to say that, but that's the truth. And so one thing I think Joe Root is going to have to do is he's going to have to speak to Stokesy and say, Ben, mate, I've got nothing against you. You're always going to be a friend of mine. I'm always going to love you. But I think it's better right now if you just stay away from the England cricketers who are on duty. And, he's a teammate of Bryden Carse as well, is Stokes. And he was also one of the players of the match as Durham thrashed Derbyshire. He took 5 wickets and scored a 50. So there's still no doubt about his ability, but I don't care about that. It's gone to the stage where international cricket has passed him by. Let him enjoy himself playing county cricket. But Joe Root now has to stamp his authority and say that Stokes should have no more involvement with English cricketers or even with, the England team at large. Let him enjoy himself playing county cricket. And it's just frustrating. And, even when Alistair Cook had retired and was still doing well for Essex, he never saw it fit to, get involved in any of this stuff. Although, he was never one to socialise with his mates anyway. So Joe Root is going to have to stamp his authority. And by dropping Bryden Carse immediately, I think that is a positive first step. And now Root is going to have to work overtime. But then here's the brilliance of having Joe Root as captain. He's the senior most player in the team. He's been there, done that, worn the T-shirt, and now with this win against Pakistan, he is now outright England's most successful captain. He's improved his win-loss ratio by marginally, which is good. But now he is literally the only adult in the room and a person who knows how to command respect, not just for his performances on the field, but the way he conducts himself off it. So now he should have the confidence and authority to stamp his mark and say, this is how it's going to be. We can't have any more of this. And mind you, when he was captain first up, he had a lot of senior players in the team, all of whom are very experienced. He was also the third youngest in the team. Now he's the oldest. He's like a second father. Maybe not necessarily a grandfather, but he is now a senior figure. So he now has to really, put his foot down, and I believe he will do that. But he's also going to have to start by telling Stokes to stay away from that for now, because I think Stokes just seems to love the headlines and publicity far too much, especially with his comments about the future England test venues for the Ashes. I mean, Stokes really needs to just, put a sock in it and just concentrate on enjoying himself playing for Durham and stay away from England in the short term. But hopefully that will answer your question as to what could possibly be done. And they've done the right thing, as I said, by dropping Carse. But if Atkinson could return to the team after his misdemeanor with Stokes, there's no reason why Carse's international career should be over. But Carse is also going to have to do a little bit of groveling and, make it crystal clear that he's not going to do that again. He is a bit of a problem child, but he is also a very talented bowler. And England cannot afford to cut their nose off despite its face by telling him that he's persona non grata, notwithstanding the fact that we do have some very good fast bowlers in our team right now.
Yeah, totally agree, Manny. But what do you think about my suggestion that if you get caught doing this when involved with England, you get dropped totally from the England squad? You can never play for England ever again. What do you make of that one? Punishment,
mate. As much as I would, there are some things, okay, for which that sort of punishment would be perfectly warranted. Like if you're a repeat offender, if you are someone who, continues to indulge in this sort of nonsense to the detriment of the team, then that is the only way forward. And even Australia, a team which also loves to have a drink every now and then, but unlike us, know what it means to be winners. Although Bangladesh will have something to say about that. They also had this issue with a certain English-born cricketer answering to the name of Andrew Simons, Lord rest his soul. Talented as he was, he also was a cricketer who had, a few issues. He liked to enjoy himself a little bit too much. I believe after one incident where he missed an Australian team meeting to go fishing, I think the then captain, I don't recollect whether it was Ricky Ponting or Michael Clark, but the then captain said, "Roy," which is Simon's nickname, "I'm sorry, mate, but you've done this far too many times, and we cannot, let this happen again. You've got to. We're going to have to end your career with us." Even South Africa, one of their notorious bad boys, Herschel Gibbs, that bloke had a drinking issue back in the day, and he was even told by his then coach Mickey Arthur and the then manager Mohammed Musaji that he had to go to alcohol rehabilitation. And this idiot, mind you, Gibbsy, had a reputation for being completely, arse drunk the night before a game and still going out and playing a match-winning innings. If you recall that 175 in that 438 game against Australia, he also did the same thing in Sean Pollock's final ODI match where, he, I think the night before he had 2 huge steaks and a lot of wine and was a bit inebriated, but still went out the following day and scored a brilliant century of 80-odd balls. And on both occasions, Mickey Arthur said, "Hirsch, I seriously don't know how the hell you do it. I was going to give you a huge dressing down, but how can I do that when you scored a match-winning innings?" But eventually, the penny dropped. The feces hit the fan, as one would say, and he was told that he had to go into alcohol rehabilitation. Now, once he served his time, he did come back into the team. Eventually, his career ended because of his inconsistent form. But while there is a drinking problem, it's with individual countries, but not within the entire game. And we've had our share of bad boys who've enjoyed their drinks a bit too much, and their respective cricket boards have always found a way to deal with them. Now, with Carse, he was a repeat offender, but I do believe that this was his first time involved in an alcohol-related incident.
Yeah.
So he is going to have to do a little bit of grubbling. And as I said, if Angus Atkinson can come back into the England reckoning after his, own episode with Ben Stokes involved, there's no reason why Carse should be, completely cut adrift. But if you're a repeat offender, if after giving you so many chances, you still continue to betray the team's, the captain's and the management's trust in you, then I'm sorry, but you're too far gone. So then I would say, yes, he is too far. This person is too far gone. There's no way that he can be redeemed. Cut ties. But if it's for a first-time offence, maybe a second-time offence, I'm not too sure that banning them for life would be the best way forward. You can drop them, you can tell them to change themselves, but if their behaviour becomes detrimental to the team, then I absolutely agree that they should be banned for life. But then you've also got to look at it on a case-by-case basis. And Carse now has to do a lot of, as I said, grovelling. He's got to do a lot of work to redeem himself. But there's no denying that in terms of, his bowling, he is a talent. He lends a great deal to the England team. So as I said to you, we can't cut off our nose to spite our face. But Joe Root now that he's got the seniority, he's got the captaincy. There's no sentiment with regard to giving him the captaincy. He's got the captaincy on merit. And I emphasize on merit, and he deserves it. Now he knows that the job is his on merit, so he can definitely stamp his own mark. And there was another issue which was brought up in the article by Mr. Shennell about how Stephen Fleming hasn't yet come in, and that's a brilliant point because obviously let's not forget Fleming happens to be a foreigner, a little bit like how Duncan Fletcher was. Fletcher was, fair at times. He had a sense of humor in a way, but he also was a firm coach who didn't stand for any kind of nonsense. And I believe Fleming will also be more or less of that particular build. As I said to you in an earlier stream, he's the chalk to Brendan McCullum's cheese. So there's no way that Stephen Fleming will also stand for any of that kind of nonsense. Now, whether or not Fleming and Root are going to butt heads regarding the whether or not there should be a curfew I don't know. But I would like to think that Fleming will have enough trust in Root to know what to assume, to believe that he knows what he's doing. And Fleming will just, be an observer. But Fleming also won't be afraid to, clamp down if need be. And bear in mind, Fleming actually captained New Zealand under the coaching of Steve Rickson, who was demanding at times, but also exceptionally fair. And Rickson himself also was an Aussie who knew that he liked to tipple. But again, when it comes to sportsmen and having a drink, you've got to know when to enjoy a tipple and when not to. It's always at the right time. And even our old school footballers will tell you, the likes of Graham Souness and others, that in order to maintain the commitment to winning and being the best you can be, you've got to know when you can enjoy yourself and when you can't. It's just unfortunate, really, that the circumstances surrounding this incident with Carse, were involved when he was away from England duty and playing for his county. And Ben Stokes also had some involvement. But Carse also, should have been aware enough to have read about everything that happened with Stokes himself. And Stokes, as I mentioned, is his county teammate. So some of these players as well are just not showing any kind of awareness. And that's what really angers me more than anything else. So I think the matter's been resolved the best way it can be. Carse has been dropped. The matter won't be discussed any further. And now, hopefully, after seeing what's happened with Gus and Bryden, the other guys in the team will realise, look, we're being put on notice here. Enough's enough. What happened in the Ashes cannot be allowed to happen again, and we need to make sure it doesn't happen again. And Ruth now has to make sure that he becomes his own man and not someone who, tries to be like Ben Stokes. He shouldn't try to be like Ben at all. And he's trying to move away from that, Stokes baseball philosophy. And for that, hats off to him.
Yeah, I hope so, Manny. But I mean, I'm just going to do a few comments here by people's opinions before we move on, because we will move on to the better things, the better talk of obviously the Test series and how well it's going for England at the moment and how poor Pakistan have been. But I'm just going to obviously go through a few opinions here about it. There are a few jokey ones, of course.
I read it. I thought for a minute, I thought you were going to go into the chat. I thought we had some people in the chat, but now I realise.
No, not really. It's this is all on Reddit. I always seem to get a lot of this stuff on there, especially the Brentford opinions. About Brentford supporters and so forth. Always look on here. Take my disappointed upvote to the hill. I don't know what that means, but anyway. Just just can't help themselves. Yeah. Shall we have a quick sweepstake on who's next? Sorry to whoever gets Root. Oh, that's a bit harsh, isn't it? The thing is, Root shows it's not that difficult to stay out the headlines. Yeah. He's not a teetotal saint. He seems to enjoy a drink too, but the stories you hear, but he also seems to know when enough is enough. And to not attract attention to himself. Totally.
Exactly. He's an adult. He's an adult. Yeah. He knows how to behave like an adult. But go on.
Definitely. I agree with that totally. How many times have you been drinking without getting in a fight or being arrested? For most of us, the answer is every time. It's not that hard unless you're an England cricketer, apparently. Even then, Root and Anderson had a party shut down by police in Australia. Albeit nothing newsworthy if they weren't cricketers. To be fair, that's why context matters in these cases. That was due to a noise complaint from a hotel resident when it was just 5 blokes having a drink on a terrace and was at the end of the Ashes. Completely different to going out on the piss in the middle of the series and getting into a scrap or having a police incident outside a nightclub. Exactly. Spot on again. If anything, that whole situation was relatable and heartwarming. Guys having a few drinks, making a bit of noise with the opposition players. The issue now is they seem to get themselves in situations they cannot control. around people that may want to take a pop at them, in places most fans think are a bit lame and drink way too much. England doesn't have a drinking problem, cricket does. Latest. English drinking has a cricket problem. Yeah. Why are we even sending pro golfers and binge drinkers to play this cricket thing? Does Durham have a drinking problem? I bet the club bar makes a tidy profit. This could happen to anyone, says team, who this has happened to 10 times. Chances that Stokes was there, you can see him in the background. Stokes' first game in the Championship and a post-game incident, laughs out loud. The real reason he quit England was so that he could realise his real dream of being a nightclub Pied Piper for the Durham lads. Captain leader legend. He gets on about Stokes. He was there. He keeps being there, Manny. Why is he involved all the time?
Exactly. That was what I was saying to you, Steve. He's becoming, too involved in all of this. And it seems to be that, his name is there whenever there's an alcohol-related issue, which is why Root now has to tell him to stay the hell away. Just go back to county cricket, enjoy, being a Titan there, but stay away from England. Your time has been and gone, and stay away from the England players. For Pete's sake.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, first you have to not be a bell end. That makes sense. Yeah, definitely. ECB Bryden, we've got a few chances in the fast bowling, few choices in the fast bowling department at the moment. So we need you to go out and do something that makes us notice you. Carse, sure, no problem. He's on the squad for the second test at Lords. He's not. He's been dropped. I think they're on about Carse. Yeah, he's been dropped. Yeah, but I won't do any more of them. A lot of them are jokey as well, so I won't go into any more. But I think really something has to be done. It's just getting out of control, Manny. It's just, why does this happen when we got another test series going on? It's taking the spotlight off that again. When we're playing cricket, important cricket matches. Yeah, exactly. In a test series.
Exactly, and I understand Carse's frustration at being told that he couldn't, he wasn't going to be picked in the 11, but he was told that he could, keep himself sharp and fit by playing some county cricket for Durham. But still, if you are centrally contracted, you are bound by that contract to behave professionally. And it's funny how, we should talk about players behaving professionally or supposedly not so, with a certain ex-Bees striker apparently refusing to train with his current club to secure a move to, a club in a different league where he could be paid an absolute fortune, generational money, so to speak. Without him, his team absolutely suffered, having to play a midfielder as a false nine, and they got creamed 4-0. Not necessarily saying that striker would have made a difference, but still, when you are bound to your contract, to a contract, and you are, contracted by an organisation, you are still committed to them until and unless, an offer comes in. And even if there were to be this view that he didn't want to get himself injured and scupper the move, still, there have been examples of players who knew they were leaving, but still played a final game for their club and put in some great performances. The most recent one was Antoine Semenyo for Bournemouth against City. But without digressing, Carse is essentially contracted, as are many of these players. So where is the sense of professional ethics to know, and the discretion to know that you can't be involved in these incidents? And for Carse to be handcuffed, it was definitely an awful look for him, regardless of the circumstances. And, now he knows that there's a price that has to be paid. So he's going to have to do a lot of groveling, as I said. And it isn't just Carse, because the sad part is, as some people have said, we don't know who might be next. We know it won't be Root. We hope and pray it won't be Harry Brook. Could it be ex-vice captain Ollie Pope, who might see his international career, over again before it's even started? It's ridiculous. Before it's even resumed.
Exactly. But let's not dwell on that. Actually, let's move on to other things. I'm fed up with talking about it. It shouldn't even be an issue. Talking about all this shit, again. During when cricket's playing, when we've got a test series going on, it gets the same old shit. And as you say, it's giving spotlight to them again. Look, people like Stokes again, who should be out of it by now. He's retired, apparently, allegedly. So he gets stuck in it once again and wants to be in the spotlight. So no, let's not give him any more airtime here and talking about them. So let's move on, and it's good to see. I see for Chelsea are 2-1 up. So at Summit, I see in your chat there, Morgan Rogers scores. So
how Aston Villa could do with him right now. But I tell you what, the 170 million quid they got.
Yeah, poor old Villa, right?
Yeah.
Poor old Villa.
They'll be fine. But anyway, let's get back to the cricket.
Yeah, so anyway, the first test was over in 3 days, Manny. Just 3 days of cricket. In no time. Despite even having a few lots of rain about. Of course, this was Headingley, up north in Yorkshire. Always a bit dodgy, the weather down there, surely, or up there. Would you say up there? I would say. Not down there. But anyway, it's always dodgy, isn't it? Let's be honest. And it always, when England want to play cricket, we get this weather. But still, it didn't stop it. We managed to get some play. Every day there was play. And England easily beat a poor Pakistan team, Manny.
Yep. Yeah, and it started with the toss, actually, because the only decision on a pitch like this would be to win the toss and bowl first. So to hear the stand-in Pakistan captain Salman Ali Agha saying they would have batted first anyway, I mean, I don't know what he was thinking. Was he hoping that, his batsmen would blunt the England seam attack and make them tire and then make them pay? Well, it didn't happen because Ollie Robinson took a wicket off the very first ball of the match. Azan Awais, of course, going out for a golden duck there. And from there, it hardly ever got better. You see 2 batsmen there, Imam ul-Haq and Abdullah Shafiq, doing their bit to steady the ship. But then once they got out, it was more or less all over bar the shouting in that first innings. And we have Robinson and Tongue sharing the spoils equally. And, the sad part is, even if Pakistan had bowled first, I'm not necessarily sure that their bowlers would have really done as good a job in dismissing England cheaply as England did Pakistan. Yeah, they had a spinner, Ali Usman, who took 6 wickets when England batted. But their bowlers, I mean, they varied from being sharp and accurate to being a little bit too wayward at times. Whereas at least with us, credit to us, we got our lines in order. I mean, I know Jofra Archer was taken out of the attack after 2 maidens because Rooty didn't think that he was, penetrative enough or really threatening enough. And that's an example of how, Rooty can be ruthless. Even Atkinson, tried hard but wasn't very effective. But you see the bowlers that we used, not a single spinner. Seam everywhere, but not a spinner to be bowled. And there was talk about, getting Dan Lawrence to bowl some off spinners, but in the end, he didn't even.
One over.
Yeah, which was a maiden. Yeah, which was a maiden. So, I mean, I can only hope and pray that the way things are going with the second test being at Lord's, we do decide to bring a spinner in, because I really don't want to be in a situation where if we need to have a spinner, we ask Dan Lawrence to bowl, because I'm telling you again, I'd sooner have Joe Root bowling. And then, of course, speaking of Root, a composed 66 in his, first, what I should say, his Yeah, it's his first inning since being permanently appointed captain again for a second time. And obviously, he and Jordan Cox did a brilliant job of steadying the ship with a century partnership. After Cox and Root couldn't quite continue, Brooke and Lawrence, took the match more or less away from Pakistan.
No centuries, Manny. Would they be disappointed not getting any centuries here?
Yes, they will be. They will be disappointed, Steve. But here's the thing. I did tell you that when we dismissed them for about 170 odd, we had a chance, if we played well enough, to ensure that we got a first innings lead of over 200. And if we did, the match was effectively ours, signed, sealed, and delivered, as Stevie Wonder would say. Because Pakistan's batting was quite simply not up to it. And we took advantage of, the Pakistan bowlers' inconsistency to make sure that we got the runs we needed. And huge applause to Vice Captain Harry Brook. I want to see him playing these sort of innings right now where he knows when to play the big shots and when not to play them. Disappointed that Ali Usman, and no, not the Blackpool footballer, bowled him for 91, 9 short of what would have been a brilliant century. But he showed some application. We need to see more from him. Brook will have a huge role to play as vice captain under Root because we need to see him now producing the same kind of, proper innings, responsible innings, mature innings with no stupid shots that will confirm that he is ready to take over the captaincy once Rook relinquishes it. And hopefully that should be at the end of the home Ashes series, where if we manage to beat Australia, that would be absolutely magnificent. Lawrence also chipping in with a half century of his own. Jamie Smith, chipping in. And even Jofra Archer. I did tell you that although we didn't have a genuine all-rounder who could, bat as low as 6 or 7 and be a frontline bowler, we did have some bowlers who could bat. I mean, obviously Robinson also missed out. Golden duck, and for a point Usman was on a hat trick. But then Archer sort of steadied the ship and smacked a few blows, and so we have a more than capable tail. But I always say we never should rely on the tail to get us out of trouble. And apart from Usman, I think Khurram Shahzad did well with 3 wickets. Mohammad Abbas was at times good with his accuracy, but never really got the reward that he deserved. And Khurram was expensive and wayward at times, it has to be said. And but as I said, if we had a lead of over 200, it was enough for us. And as it turned out, we had a lead of 238. So all we had to do, and once we get to Pakistan's second innings, was make sure we maintained the intensity. And if we take a look at the fall of wickets, I mean, again, we had another opener going out for a duck, Imam al-Haq this time. Azan surviving, getting a king pair and a pair in general. And this time around, apart from the wicketkeeper, Mohammad Rizwan, who I think will be out for the second test at Lord's, no one even got to 30. So we kept our, we were ruthless with the ball again, and that's what, how much we needed to be. And the spinners didn't take a single wicket. It was all on the seams. And I was a bit sad they didn't, split the man of the match award between Josh Tong and Ollie Robinson, because both of them took 8 wickets in the match, including 5 wickets each in the first innings. They actually split the ball from that first inning so they could both keep a piece of it. They should have shared that man of the match award, which, I mean, maybe they couldn't have necessarily cut that medal or award in 2, but you get where I'm coming from. But
they shared it, But going back to what you said about with Stevie Wonder, I think for Pakistan the writing was on the wall, wasn't it? Let's be honest. At the end of the day.
Oh yeah, and they believed in things they could never understand.
Yeah, very superstitious. Unfortunately, they weren't up to it, were they? I mean, we didn't know what the Pakistan team would turn up, and in the end, it turned out to be the one we always seem to it does turn up. Unfortunately, though, they sometimes spring a surprise, and they're going to have to spring a surprise in the second test. Otherwise, they're going to get done. They're going to finish probably 2-0, 2 or 3-0 in the test series.
Yeah, but there is, of course, an omen in that Pakistan do seem to enjoy playing in London. I believe they've won 10 of their last 13 tests at Lord's and the Oval combined. But, you know, even with Babar Azam expected to come back into this team, as I told you, I believe Mohammad Rizwan will be out. So I'm not holding out much hope of them, maintaining, putting up any kind of a challenge. And even Babar's batting itself is a little bit fitful at times. And of course, they do have another impressive spinner in Sajid Khan, who, of course, ran rings around us when we toured them. But what other changes are being proposed? Let's read this article you've got here. And let's finish this quickly as well, because I know you want to watch the second half.
Yeah, I'll try and watch the rest of it, yeah. So Babar Azam's return, Ubad Shah's inclusion are under consideration for Lord's Test, say sources. Changes are under consideration on Pakistan's side for the second test against England at Lord's after their heavy defeat in the series opener at Headingley. Geo News reported on Sunday, citing sources. England defeated Pakistan by an innings and 120 runs in the opening test on Friday. Pakistan, it was 103, wasn't it? Yeah, 120. Pakistan, who faced a 238-run deficit after England's first innings, were bowled out for 118 in their second innings as the hosts secured a convincing victory. The second test of a three-match series is scheduled to begin at Lord's Cricket Ground in London on August 27th. The sources said the team management is considering changes to the lineup following the defeat, with the playing 11 expected to be finalised after assessing conditions in London. Wicketkeeper batter Mohammad Rizwan could be rested for the second test. Sources said while the management is hopeful of star batter Babar Azam returning to the side after he missed the first test due to a finger injury. If Babar returns, top order batter Azan Awais is likely to be dropped, the sources added. Pakistan could also field two specialist spinners at Lord's, with sources saying that the expected dry conditions and a relatively flat pitch in London are being taken into consideration. Right arm pacer Ubad Shah is also in contention for the second test, with his pace potentially giving him an advantage in the selection process. The team management will assess the conditions after the squad reaches London before finalising the playing 11 they added. Pakistan's first test defeat exposed a number of weaknesses in a squad still finding its feet in English conditions. Standing captain Salman Ali Agha, leading the side in the absence of regular skipper Babar Azam, admitted that England had outplayed Pakistan and pointed to repeated mistakes as a major reason for the comprehensive defeat. Agha also identified an inexperienced batting lineup and the bowlers' failure to exploit early moisture as key shortcomings. His assessment underlined Pakistan's difficulty in adapting to English conditions and making the most of opportunities when they arise. Yet there were reasons for optimism, with Agha backing the pace attack despite criticism over speed and highlighting the performances of Abdullah Shafiq and left-arm spinner Ali Usman. So there's no actual confirmed changes, but that's what they're saying, the changes they could make.
Yeah, and as was mentioned, they could decide to field two spinners. So the biggest question now for us is, do we stick with the four-man pace battery, or do we, bring a specialist spinner in and have either Lawrence or Root coming in to complement that spinner? And if that happens, will it be Shoaib Bashir or will it be someone like a Rayan Ahmed? Now, these two guys, of course, were involved when we toured Pakistan, and they had limited certain degrees of involvement, of course. But it hurts me a great deal that other spinners like Tom Hartley, for instance, are not considered. You saw how Ali Usman bowled, and it hurts me a great deal that ever since, Madsman Singh Panesar, who, as we all know, had his own issue with a nightclub bouncer back in the day, and we don't need to talk about that. We don't seem to have produced a really good left-arm spinner, as I've said. Tom Hartley should be our new golden boy in that regard and given the opportunity to develop. But he's been discarded. It's disgusting. So, I mean, Bashir basically isn't really that big a spinner of the ball, as we all know, but he's someone who keeps a tight line and knows how to do a job as an off spinner. He will have to be a little bit more forceful with his, bowling and make sure he brings his arm really down from that great height to make sure that he gets that, whatever his top delivery may be. It could be the straight one, it could be a doosra, the one that moves the other way. He's going to have to really make sure he bowls a little bit more aggressively. But he's given so much rope, and yet he doesn't seem to have enough in terms of confidence, which is really surprising. So I don't want to see us going for a four-man seam attack in this test at Lord's. So the big question is, with Robinson and Tongue having taken 8 wickets each, neither of them can be dropped. So it will be between Archer and Atkinson, and it could very well be that Atkinson might have to make way so that the spinner can come in.
Yeah, well, they've obviously got Sonny Baker coming in for it, another seamer. So, as you say, though, will they pick a spinner? Rian Ahmed, I just keep thinking, why do they keep leaving him out? Why do they bring him in, leave him out? I feel sorry for the lad. I really do. It must be so frustrating for him, to be continually brought in and left out again, and brought in and left out. I mean, do they want me or not? I would be thinking, if I was him. What am I doing wrong? I mean, he's not amazing bowler. He's a decent spinner. He's a very good spinner, but he's not amazing. But he can also bat. He's a very decent all-rounder. Very good with the bat as well. And, I don't know why they're not giving him a go. I really don't understand that. And I would have put him there, maybe ahead of Lawrence even, really.
I mean, you can't drop Lawrence after you made a 50 in that low innings Headingley. But, I mean, that's the thing. Again, with regards to the batting, the batsmen would have been disappointed not to have scored a century. All 4 of them, Coxey, Rooty, Brook, and even to some extent Lawrence. But all they had to do was get some 50s and ensure they had a big lead, and that was fine. But the bowling, again, I'm just reading the updated squad page on Cricinfo. Carse has indeed been withdrawn. So, as it stands, we don't really have an all-rounder, and he was listed in the squad as an all-rounder. Sonny Baker has come in, but bear in mind that, Carse was supposed to be a reserve. Baker will in all likelihood be a reserve. I don't see him coming in. And again, the only specialist spinner we've got is Bash, who is very close to celebrating his 23rd birthday. I mean, actually, it's in about 2 months from now, I think. But again, what exactly are we trying to accomplish? Are we looking to pick a squad that can do well in all conditions? Or are we just going to, as we did with Monty Panesar near the end of his career, just treat him as a specialist spinner for certain conditions and, pick him then? We've got to give some of our spinners a little bit more confidence. Otherwise, we're never going to have another Derek Underwood. We'll never have another Graham Swan. We're not even going to have another Phil Tufnell or Monty Panesar at this rate. It hurts a great deal, Steve. Or even someone like a Robert Croft, for instance, who many people would say was given far too many opportunities, more than he deserved. But it is what it is. So we have to start giving our spinners a lot more confidence. And that goes to all our spinners. Instead, we've got a seam-heavy, bowling attack. And at a maximum, only 4 seamers will play. What are the other two or three there for? It makes no sense on the selection sometimes. So, as I'm saying, I think if we do decide to play a spinner, it will mean that we'll have to, bring Bashir into the team and drop Atkinson and hope that Bash and Lawrence can, do well. But again, Bash being an off spinner, and Lawrence and Root also being off spinners means that, we don't have any variety in that spin department. We don't have a leg spinner. We don't have a left arm spinner. You can argue that for this Pakistan batting side, we don't really need that much in terms of variety. And Chelsea are 3-1 up. Cole Palmer slotting through Bernd Leno's legs. But, it's really horrible the way things have been gone with squad selection. We just never learn. We just never ever learn. But what we have now, I can confidently say, should be enough to, beat this Pakistan side. Although they will be mulling bringing in a second spinner themselves to partner Ali Usman. It could very well be Sajid Khan, the 32-year-old who obviously tormented us in Pakistan. They did say that Ubaid Shah could come into the team. He might end up replacing Khurram Shahzad, maybe. Shahzad did take 3 wickets, but was very expensive. Mohammad Abbas is 36 years old. He bowled a lot better than his figures would suggest, but wasn't exactly, jaunty roads in the field. Muhammad Ali was perhaps a little bit punch drunk, it would have to be said. So you saw what I did there, right?
Yeah. Yeah, very good.
And in addition, they've already mentioned that with Babar Azam coming back in to captain the team, it will effectively mean that Azan Awais will be dropped because I don't think they're going to drop the more experienced Imam ul Haq. But so that's pretty much the way things are going with Pakistan at the moment, and they've got all sorts of selection problems. They've got their own update headaches to deal with. We should have enough to beat them, but I hope that we also continue to show the same ruthlessness that we did at Headingley. And as a sad epitaph, it does look as though this will be the last time Test cricket will be played at Headingley until 2029. One thing on which we can agree with Ben Stokes is that it is an absolutely shambolic decision because Headingley and Old Trafford will miss out. I get that they want to, give some other venues the opportunity to host Ashes tests or what have you. But no cricket in Yorkshire is just sacrilegious. It's disgusting. And so if this is to be the final test that Joe Root plays on his home ground, I think he can be quite happy, quite pleased. Although I'm sure he would have loved a farewell century.
Yeah. They may just be tempted to keep the same team for the second one. Do you think, or they probably will rest somebody, will they? One of the bowlers, do you think, at least?
Like I said, they should consider dropping a seamer to bring Bash in because the track will aid spin. There is no way that England can afford to go into that test with 2 part-time spinners in. And, we had Dan Lawrence bowling only 1 over of spin, which was a maiden over. He didn't take a wicket. All of our wickets were taken by the seamers. So there is nothing to suggest that he can even be an option going forward. And that's another example of the muddled and idiotic thinking there is with regard to, that type of a selection. I think, and Fleming will also take a look at this squad and say, where the hell is my Chris Cairns, you idiots? You need to have a proper all-rounder in this team. So I think one good thing about it is that, when Fleming comes in, he will possibly like to have a bigger say with regard to the selection of, squads, especially going to South Africa, the reigning World Test champions. That's going to be a huge, huge test. And he will want nothing but the best in terms of squad selection for his team. So he will certainly have some input, I would like to think. And this idiotic thinking that's going on right now, I think it has to stop. It's adequate enough to beat this poor Pakistan side, I will agree, unless we show some complacency. But this cannot be the standard, Steve. This cannot be the standard.
No. But anyway, I think what we can agree on is that we should probably win that second test, and it's gonna, whether it be as easy as the first one, I don't know. I think Pakistan will want to try and fight back. Surely, they won't want to let this go that easy, will they? I mean,
no.
like it was a poor performance by then, and they want to show more than that, surely. In the
Agreed.
second
Agreed. And of course, with all the indications are that the Lord's pitch might be, flatter than when it was against New Zealand, but with an opportunity for spin to come in. You want to win the toss. You want to bat first. And Fulham have just scored a second goal. I believe it's Gonzalo Garcia who's netted in the 54th minute. So Fulham are back in it, 3-2. And Sanchez once again not covering himself in glory. Initial shot saved, but right into Garcia's head. That's how you use your head in the big game, unintended.
He's not a great keeper, Sanchez, let's be honest, is he? So I don't blame him at all. They need a proper keeper there. If they're to do anything this season, they need a proper keeper.
Yeah, really. I call him Bobby Sanchez, or Mr. Bobby, if you will. And you could say his hands are like bobby pins or what have you, eh?
True.
Yeah. But anyway, back to the cricket. I said the Lords
finish this, wrap this up. But
the Lords win the toss, bat first, and then when it gets a bit dry, when there's some rough bowl in the fourth innings, Bob's your uncle. But then you don't have an Uncle named Robert, do you?
I don't have any uncles, mate. No, unfortunately, I did have, but they're all gone. Sadly,
my apologies.
But yeah, I've still got a couple of aunties, so I have still got some relatives, so that's good. But anyway, I think we should make this 2-0, Manny. I really do, and I think it will be 2-0, despite Pakistan maybe making some sort of fight to come back. I still think we should win it. Possibly a 3-0 could be on the cards. I mean, also what you were saying there about the stadium, the grounds. I agree with that as well. Obviously, what Stokes was mentioning, of course, as well about the grounds not having Headingley in the Ashes and the generally it's always been there, hasn't it? Always been the ground there to use in the Ashes. And what's the other one they've left out?
Old Trafford, another iconic venue.
Yeah, they've always been in it generally, haven't they? So that is strange. But then I suppose you've got to try and bring other grounds into it in other places. You've got to give them a chance. Obviously, I think Southampton's one, isn't it? And is it Wales, the other one again? Another one?
Cardiff. That might be an option. Yeah, but again, you see what's happening here, though. It's like the northern venues are sort of having their status taken away. I mean, thank God for Warwickshire and Nottinghamshire, Edgbaston and Trent Bridge, respectively. But still, again, all you're doing is just widening and deepening the north-south divide. It's really ridiculous. And what I would like to see, I mean, obviously, Durham is still very much a part of it, Chester Street. So I think the Geordies and other people in the surrounding areas might still have some cricket to enjoy. But Headingley and Old Trafford, I mean, they're Rosa's venues. They're iconic. You don't just freeze them out. I don't quite know what the planning is, but still, I mean, could you consider they couldn't countenance leaving out Lords and the Oval at any time, could they? Because those are the money spends, you see. Ridiculous.
Yeah. So, yes, as you say, it's Trent Bridge, Lords, Edgbaston, and Southampton, and the Kia Oval, of course. All the grounds. So, as you say, Headingley, Old Trafford, it's sad that they're out. They're left out of it, but I suppose you'll say, well, at least Nottingham and Birmingham and Southampton all going to get a lot of people attending up there. So I think that'd be good. Be good for them. Make some good business there, surely. But but that's all next year, of course. So we'll all be looking forward to it when it comes. Hopefully, to get the Ashes back, the urn back, would be amazing. And hopefully we'll be actually prepared this time, Manny, for it.
Yeah, one thing which I hope we won't do is go out on the lash, before a test match or get ourselves into any trouble with, nightclub bouncers or anything of that sort. I think, the more we see this sort of nonsense being clamped down on, hopefully the more the players will realise that this has got to stop. And Root now has got to, literally read a few of these players the riot act. It could be Root, it could be Robert Key who reads it. I mean, I don't want Robert Key being involved in this. Root has to do this. He's got to stamp his mark on it. And, Root's status as now the senior most member of the team and, our greatest batsman of all time means that there is no way that anyone will want to cross him. I mean, he is mild-mannered, but he's a Yorkie, so he'll have a tough streak in him. They all do, don't they?
Yeah, he's got enough discipline. That's why he's such a great player. He bats well and maintains his strength and discipline and why he bats those long innings that we so love. But there's one other thing I want to say. I know it's actually about football, and I know it's cricket on here, but then again, we have been talking about the football as well with Chelsea at the moment. Ethan Pinnock could be on the move from Brentford. He's been here a very long time, obviously. I think since we were down in the lower divisions, probably like third, fourth, or second division, whatever you called it at the time. He's been here a very long time. He looks like he could be on the move to Coventry City, Manny. There's talk here. They've come to an agreement for the transfer of Ethan Pinnock, Coventry. The deal for the 33-year-old centre back. He's still, I know he's 33, but I think he's still solid. I rate him still as a good defender. He's reportedly worth $5 million plus a further $1 million in add-ons. The Jamaica international has been granted permission to have a medical before signing a 3-year contract with Coventry City, which includes an option for an additional year. Pinnock joined Brentford actually it's not as far away as I thought it was, July 2019. I thought it was longer than that, but he wasn't here that long. And his contract was set to expire in June 2027. According to Transfermarkt, he has a current market value of $3 million. He was also recently linked with West Ham. So, it looks like he's going, Manny. Long-serving, great defender, great player for us. Looks like we're losing another one. After Henderson.
It's sad, really. It's sad. I mean, listen, this guy literally has a huge connection with the Bees. He was there when you were in the Championship and obviously played his part in getting you promoted, making 39 appearances, of course, and scoring once. 48 games in all competitions that season, I might add. And he was very much a regular under Thomas Frank, but I think last season he only made 4 appearances. Maybe injuries might have affected him and taken their toll on him. And it's sad, really, because I'm sure Keith Andrews would have really enjoyed, working with him if he could have used his services. So it does seem right that he goes to a new club. And if he does go to Coventry City, it's a Premiership team. And, Frank Lampard will need some defensive cover, especially given that we ripped them to shreds 3-0 before 50 minutes on Friday. Defensively, they I think their first touch defensively, they just weren't really good enough. And they will need someone experienced to, help them out. And it could also be an investment for the future because Pinnock's played in the Championship and lower divisions as well with the likes of Barnsley. And, of course, going all the way back to 2016, 2017, he was with Forest Green Rovers in the National League. So he's worked his way up and done really well for himself, and credit to him. But maybe it's an opportunity for a new environment. He'll be leaving London, of course, to go to the West Midlands, of course. Coventry isn't too far from the Birmingham area. So yeah, I think he'll enjoy it, and Coventry are going to get a good. They'll get a good player who'll still have something in him, something to prove, and I think he will, add to that team. And of course, when Coventry City do come back to the G-Tech, I'm pretty sure you'll give them a good reception. 216 appearances in all competitions, fine servants.
Yeah, be up to you, Luca. By the way, a little bit late, mate. But then again, you're not really a cricket fan, I didn't think. So why you're in here, I don't know. But I'm happy you're in here, but it don't matter.
But listen, Italy does have a cricket team. They played in the recent T20 World Cup.
Oh yeah, they did, didn't they? Yeah, they done quite well, I think, in that. But,
yeah, they were okay. They had some good patches. Could have been better in some respects, but obviously what they did with Joe Burns before the tournament was disgusting. How they froze him out was simply uncalled for. But it was good to hear, Fratelli d'Italia being played on a cricket field. I mean, you never hear that. You normally hear that being played on a football field in a rousing rendition with the fans joining in. But on a cricket field, it's a novelty. It's quite nice. And we could see Portugal as well, getting to do that. They beat Spain in the recent European qualifying final recently. So, yeah. But, so listen, I wish good luck to Ethan. I hope he does well with Coventry. And more pertinently, England should win the second test. Just do what they keep doing.
Yeah.
But I can say this right now, Steve. We're going to have a much different squad for South Africa than what we have now. It's got to be.
Well, true. Very true. We'll probably will do maybe a review after the second one as well. Probably will do a review after the second test. So why not? And I'm sure it will be 2-0, but we'll see what happens. I mean, if it does get to 1-1, makes it very interesting for the last one, doesn't it? Really. So if somehow Pakistan do level it, it'll make it very interesting.
Yeah, bluntly, I don't see them leveling it, and if they do level it, it's because A, they would deserve to be level, and B, we just show that we are absolutely shambolic. But it is what it is. We just have to do control what we can control and do what we have to do, and if we do that, we'll be fine.
Well, exactly. But anyway, it's been a great stream, buddy. Where can we find you?
Well, I am actually about to hop over to Hanno's channel to join his watch-along for the Fulham-Chelsea game, and obviously he and I will chew the fat a little bit. And I think they're going to need to buy a new goalkeeper at this rate. I happen to know of a World Cup winner.
Yeah, you're number one. Yeah.
Yep, he might join Morgan Rogers and Austin McPhee in the little Aston Villa reunion. So, I mean, I'd prefer it if he were to stay at Villa anyway and win another trophy. But if it doesn't happen, then, let him go to Chelsea and enjoy himself at this point. And also, if people want to find me, Steve, I will be here on your channel once again talking cricket, football, whatever it may be. And I will also be doing another stream, a few more streams with Up the Cherries Law Departments. We might have another transfer stream coming up this Thursday. And they are good fun. I enjoy being a part of them. And we should also be doing another stream about football having a problem with regard to the domestic cups. So I will inform you when that stream comes out. It's a recorded stream and it will be released the following day. Also catch me on the Arsenal Voice with Rashid, where we do the starting 11 streams and the raised standard streams. And maybe on a few other channels, I will let you know if I will be joining them soon. But until then, I'm going to settle back to watch the remaining quarter of the game. I know, Steve, you'd like to do that too. So to everyone in the chat who's joined in, thanks a lot for joining in. And to everyone who's watching this on playback later on, thank you again. And I hope you all enjoy this upcoming week. As always, take care of yourselves. Be safe, be happy. Do unto others as you'd have others do unto you. And don't do anything that Mr. B or I wouldn't do. Until then, from Steve and me to you, I bid you adieu. And thankfully, I've had some dinner myself. Not quite the pizza that you had, mate, but I need to start making my own. My kingdom for an air fryer.
Well, I'm sure you made quite a bit to eat, man. Anyway, so you're doing well. But anyway, I'll be watching your stream, probably the thing you're doing with Hanno. have a look at that while I'm watching the football. So definitely have a quick look. I've got getting the football on now, actually. So see how it's going. I'm sure it's still 3-1. Yeah.
No, it's 3-2 now. It's because of
3-2. Sorry.
Yeah, because listen, if it weren't for Sanchez, Chelsea would be running away with this. Simple as that. See you soon, mate.
Yeah. Cheers, Manny. Take care, brother. Have a good one. Cheers. Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to go myself. Thanks to Manny yet again, as usual. Another great stream. Had plenty to talk about with England, of course. Yeah, another incident, of course, in a nightclub. So, well, hopefully it hasn't marred everything too much, and we can get on with the business of cricket and make it 2-0 at Lords on Thursday against Pakistan, at a very, very poor Pakistani team, not good enough. They may have a fight back on Thursday, but I'm sure we'll still win. Thanks to everyone that's been watching. There have been a couple in the live chat, so thanks to you guys. Follow me on Insta at Mr. B for Life 182 and Discord Steve the B. Also subscribe to this channel, Mr. B Hive of Football Chat. Smash those likes and keep subbing, guys. It's much appreciated. Obviously, I do the cricket on here now as well. I may just put that in there down on the ticker at some stage about cricket channel as well, which is part of this anyway. So, I mean, obviously it's mainly the football, but obviously when England play, I like to talk about that. So, in the cricket. So anyway, I'm going to bounce, guys. Hopefully tomorrow there'll be some more. Obviously there might actually be a watch along for the Birmingham game. I might do that. I might just actually do that. I'm thinking, seriously considering doing that. So watch out for that. And it will be a watch along. So I think the match starts, I think it was 8 o'clock, 7:45. So yeah, but anyway, I'll do the watch along for that. More transfer streams, possibly. Probably talking a bit more about Pinnock, Ethan Pinnock. So we'll see. We'll see what else there is. And of course, a preview for the Leeds game. But anyway, plenty to come. Hope everyone enjoys yourself, has a great night. Watch the rest of the football. And hope you're enjoying that. And I'm going to get myself out of here, though, guys. Thanks once again for watching. My third stream of the day, by the way. So, done 3 streams in a row. I had a hat trick today. So, anyway, cheers, guys. Take care. Until the next one. Cheers, guys. Cheers, everyone. Bye.